The jewel somewhere, in the deepest places, and out of the very dust of the earth, a jewel was formed. Before the world began, the jewel was fashioned to reflect and refract light from its creator in a special and a wonderful way. The time came for the jewel to be unearthed. Maybe it was to the oohs and ahhs of doting parents, or maybe to the pain and squalor of a lonely street urchin. The jewel was sullied by the imperfection of its environment. As the jewel aged, it found more mud and dirt. Some it rolled in itself, other dirt was thrown at it. Sometimes others told the jewel that it wasn't a jewel at all. The jewel looked at itself, and all it could see was mud and dirt. The jewel decided that it must find things to cover. It looked for things that were pretty, the mud and dirt, things that people would admire or desire, and it used them to cover the mud and the dirt. If anyone got too close, the jewel would keep them away in case they caught a glimpse of the mud beneath. One day, the jewel heard that God would give him a clean-up, and that God had also purchased a special covering that would make him look clean. With the special covering on, he heard that God would accept him. The jewel was excited, and he joyfully accepted the lovely white covering. The jewel noticed that in the front of the covering there was a window. He was worried about what might be seen through the window. So he covered the window with things which he thought God and men might admire. The jewel decided to serve God because he was zero thankful. One day the jewel was struggling to serve God well enough. God spoke to the jewel and said, "I do not love you because of what you do for me. Do not love you because you are good enough. I love you just the way you are. In fact, I love you even without the covering." The jewel rejoiced, and he marveled that God could possibly love such a filthy object of no worth. Sometimes people would treat the jewel as if he had no worth. The jewel would feel sad and ashamed. But then he would remember that God loved him even though he had no worth, and he would feel even more grateful and try even harder to serve God. One day God asked the jewel why he had things stuck over the window of his special covering. He asked to see the jewel's true colors. The jewel became fearful. He didn't want God to take away the things that he had put over the window. He thought that all that could be seen inside was mud and dirt, because he thought he was just dirt, and he felt sure that there was nothing of worth to be seen. Then God said, "Before you were born, I fashioned you to be you, special and unique. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You are my jewel, and I put the window in the covering so that your true colors could be seen. As your creator, I know that your true colors are beautiful and sparkling and bright.